Wow. That was way too difficult. Oh my gosh. How are you guys doing? You know, everything's perfect. I've literally been in here for almost an hour and a half, just waiting to start. Everything was fine. I hit go live on Restream and then had to go live on YouTube, and all of a sudden it was doubling somehow. I don't know. It was weird. So hopefully we're good to go now. I just closed out. I closed out of Restream, which is when you saw the screen go to that logo. And then I just reopened Restream, and then now it's not doubling. So I'm not sure if maybe, I really have no clue. You know, it's just, have you tried turning it off and back on again? Oh, goodness, man. All right. Well, thanks for hopping on the live stream, guys. I really appreciate it. Today is going to be a good day. We're going to do a lot of fun stuff. I've got a lot of tech to kind of review and look at, and stuff that I've seen out there that I'm thinking like, would this be helpful for the worship tech community? Could we utilize this stuff? And right now you're looking at, this is a G7, I think, with a 12 to 35 on the classic GVM slider that I like to use, 48 inches. And it's just going really slowly back and forth. And we use these in our worship center, but I set up for a testimonial video that we filmed last night for our night of worship. And so we had drug that out of the worship center. It wasn't set back up yet. And I thought, I'll just throw it into the stream mix today just for fun, to have another camera. So this live stream, I want to tell you guys, this is not a time for me just to sit and like say whatever I want to say and we'll call it live. But I want it to be an interactive like time where I get to chat with you guys. Yes, I have lots of things planned for us to kind of chat about. And if there's nobody asking questions, we'll go to those. But I was kind of realizing the other day, I was watching Praise Charts and Loop Community's live streams, and they're like, Praise Charts does an amazing job on their live streams, but it made me realize like, there's really no point in me even watching this live because there's no interaction. It's kind of like they're just recording a video and calling it live because they're having a guest come in or something like that. And it made me think about our church services. And so here in a little bit, at the very end of our live stream time here, we're going to look at a few different churches. I think there's 4 that have been submitted, their live streams. But is that how people feel about our church's live stream environment? Because it's literally like they're just watching someone record a video. And so why do I need to be here at the live time? Like I'll just watch it later. So I don't know, just food for thought there. So let's see who is jumping in to the stream today. I don't know if I can. Yes, I think I can. Let's see. All right. I lost all of your earlier comments because I had to reload it, but looks like Naaman is in the house. Are we going to look at the GH6? Let's look at the GH6. Why not? Let's do it right now. GH6, man, I have been waiting for quite some time for this camera, and maybe you have. If you know me, I have tons of Panasonic cameras. I have actually got a new G85, not new to me, G85 this week to run on our gimbal cam, just to have that extra sensor stabilization. So I have 3 G7s. There's 2 of them up there, 2 G85s, a GH5, 2 GH4s, and a DVX200. And so I have quite a few of those. But let's look at the GH6 and talk about it just for a second. You know, is this something that we need to be considering as possible cameras for our churches? So here is the GH6. It looks to be like a pretty cool cam. They basically have updated it to be kind of like a GH5S with the like low light capabilities. It has dual, like this extra dynamic range boost mode that happens at 2000 ISO, but it's more of a like cinema camera. And whenever I saw this come out, I mean, I think everybody was hoping like, we want great autofocus, and they didn't do that. It's still just the contrast detect, depth from defocus, autofocus, but it's got 120p, 4K. It shoots almost up to 6K in 10-bit. All of these things that are great for like filmmaking that give you extra color range and things like that. They upgraded the stabilization even more. So I don't remember how many stops it is, but it's better than the GH5 was or the G9. And so that is kind of the most interesting thing to me, is the two things, the stabilization increase and the dynamic range / low light capabilities getting better. That kind of looks interesting to me. But here's the thing. Do we need the GH6 in our church live stream environments? For me, it's a little tempting because I utilize our cameras in lots of different ways. Like yesterday, I filmed a testimonial video, and a GH6 would be great for that. But is it that much better than a GH5 or a GH5S? I'm not sure. In our environments, people love to rage about like dynamic range is what it's all about. I don't necessarily want to show all the shadows in our worship center, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm kind of okay with some of the blacks being a little crushed in the shadows. But here's the thing. When you think about, I think the best place that I would use a GH6 is where we're using our GH5. And that is a handheld roamer, like on the side of a stage or something, not on a gimbal, but just hand holding the camera. And to do that with a full frame camera, you're probably looking at like the Sony a7S III. I don't know, some of you guys may have that camera. It looks to be like an amazing camera. But price-wise, like the Sony a7S III with a 70-200 lens, which is going to be a lot bigger, is about $6,000. You could get the GH6 with the Panasonic 35-100 for probably under $3,000. The GH6 is $2,200. So, what are you guys thinking? Are you interested in the GH6? I'm interested. I just don't know for a live stream environment if it's really that much better than a GH5. The dynamic range, the stabilization, the low light capabilities kick in at that 2000 ISO. So you're not going to be able to use the dynamic range boost. Like, we run all of our cameras around 640, 800 ISO, and that would actually, like, we can't even utilize it, or else we'd have to stop down. We don't really want to stop down our lenses because it's already micro four thirds. So, yeah, lots of stuff to think about there. That was one of the tech things that's been a big deal. Naaman says, I'm debating getting the GH6 or the Sony a6600. Want to use it for talking headshots on the Go Cam, potentially on a monopod in the service later on. So the a6600, it doesn't have any sensor stabilization, I'm pretty sure. It has, I think all Sony cameras maybe have that active steady shot or that kind of digital stab where it crops in. But I would probably lean more like just get a GH5 used, because they're going to be coming down in price. So, yeah. This is a good question here from Joan, the editor. Hi guys, our church is growing in the live stream area. We are looking for a cheap comm system. We really like the EarTech Ultralight, but there aren't any here in Argentina. Any other alternative? Yeah, the EarTechs have been great for us. The Hollyland makes a system called the T1000, I think. It's a little bit more expensive, and it's not all within the ear cans. It has a belt pack. You could also look at, I think it's called Unity Intercom, or you could just do like Discord if everybody has phones. I've heard people trying that. So that's something you could consider as far as just communication. When we first started out, I literally got like wireless in-ear units, And we weren't able to talk to the camera operators, but at least our director could tell them what to do. So they would just wear the earbuds of these cheap ones, and our director just like had a microphone that went straight into that in-ear unit. And that was like a very cheap way to do it. I think we used like a Rolls headphone amplifier. So that's something you could consider. Johnny Originals asks, if I have a Canon M6 Mark II right now and I want to add a camera, should I stay with Canon? I'd like a good photography camera, but also use it in our church. So I guess I'm looking at the Canon R6. Yeah, the Canon R6, that's actually probably the most direct competitor to the GH6 as far as full frame cameras go, because it does have stabilization on the sensor a little bit. You can still get old EF glass for it and kind of make that work. But I do say, like, once you start investing in lenses, it's probably smart to kind of stick with that system. So I don't remember on the limitations of the R6, like if there's recording limits or if it's going to auto shut off out of the HDMI. I don't think it will, because I mean, this is a Canon RP and it doesn't shut off over HDMI. I think they fixed that on their newer mirrorless models. But that's my initial thoughts. You guys feel free to comment if you got other things for them. Daniel says, we use a Blackmagic Pocket 6K. We're looking to buy 2 more cameras. We thought about going Panasonic. Would it play well with the Blackmagic cameras? So they are similar as far as that they're the same sensor size. I'm sure you can get them to match if you play around with the color science and, different white balance settings and maybe adjust your hues accordingly. I don't know. There may be even LUTs that you can load into your Pocket 6K that would maybe match the profiles of, say, like a GH5 natural profile. I'm sure somebody out there has developed that. And then you just set your white balance the same and see how that goes. The downsides to the Pocket 6Ks, obviously, is that there's no stabilization. There's not any autofocus. Like our guys that run throughout the service, we have our stuff set on manual focus, but then the back button is a push to autofocus button. So a lot of times just like that works actually pretty well with the Panasonics. So they'll be running and gunning, they'll get to a new spot, and they'll usually hit that button just to grab focus. And I think maybe Blackmagic does have that now. But the Pocket 6Ks are EF mount, so they're not micro four thirds. You're in 6K land, not 4K land. Disregard everything I just said. I don't even know what I'm talking about. 6Ks are EF, so they're Canon glass. So you could adapt your Canon glass onto micro four thirds. I don't know. I mean, yes, you could make it work. I like to stick it in the same system. If you like the 6Ks though, and you think they're great, you might as well just stick with them. Like, unless there's something about the 6Ks that you feel like you're coming up short on, then maybe just stick with them or do the 4Ks from Blackmagic. I've never actually owned a Blackmagic camera. I've got a lot of buddies that have them. That is something I'm interested in doing on the channel, is like a little shootout, just a comparison of have them bring in their Ursa and their 4K. I don't have anybody that has a 6K. So Blackmagic, if you want to send me one to test, I'd be more than willing to test that. Samson says, the shots look good. What cameras are you using for this live stream and what settings have you applied? So this camera that you're looking at right now is actually the Canon RP. It's the cheapest full frame camera from Canon that I know of. And it is using an old EF mount 85mm 1.8. And it's a really noisy lens, but it does look good. So I think the ISO set at like, I don't know, 800 or something like that. And this over here is a Panasonic G7, I think. Either that or G85. I don't remember. And it's got the Panasonic 12-35 f2.8, which is a stabilized lens. I don't know. It's probably somewhere in between those two focal lengths. And I think the ISO is a little bit higher on it, maybe like 1250. So this is what you get out of 1250 going through 2 different live stream compressions. So it looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. Jonathan, let's see what you're saying. Would you say that a GH56 or really any DSLR mirrorless options is a viable option for a 1,500 seat worship center? Or should we continue looking at pro broadcast options? So, Jonathan, that's a good question, man. It depends on what you want your live stream to, kind of the vibe, the look that you want to go for. When you start getting that, like, are your cameras going to be positioned? It's all about camera positions. It's not about how big your auditorium is. But if you have to have now your cameras all the way back at the back, Micro Four Thirds actually is a small benefit over like a full frame option, like a Pocket 6K, because it gives you further reach with smaller lenses and cheaper glass. So you could get a Pocket 6K and get a Sigma the 150 to 600. That's pretty cheap. Or you could adapt that Sigma glass onto a GH5 or something like that with a speed booster. But if you're a larger church that's got a 1,500 seat worship center, I would maybe use those GH5s and 6s more like up on the stage, in the mix kind of cams, or maybe a roaming cam on a gimbal, something like that. And then maybe, I don't know, it all comes down to budget though, Jonathan. Like the Ursa G2 broadcast, I mean, they're kind of built perfectly for large church, full production environments. So that might be something to consider too. It just depends on your budget, and camera placement is really what kind of drives up your costs as far as lenses go and things like that. Daniel says, sorry, I'm in Asia. I have to go to sleep now. Sweet dreams. Oh, and he also asked, do I have time to see the new Panasonic GH6 camera? Yeah, we actually talked about that a little bit earlier. So if you just want to scrub back, you can. So Jonathan, you are welcome. No problem, man. That's what this is all about. Here's a great question here from Samson. What is your experience of using Speed Booster on the Panasonic cameras, especially the 70-200? Is it better than the 35-100 native lens? I should make a video about that because I do have a lot of experience in those 2 different setups. We use both actually every Sunday. We have one camera that is a GH4, and that is on purpose, not a GH5, with the Metabone Speed Booster 0.71 times, I believe, reducer. And then we have the 70-200 from Canon IS2 that I got for $600 on eBay. Yeah, it was awesome. And then we have 2 other cameras that are running the Panasonic 35-100. So here is my take on it. The 70-200 is great glass from Canon. Adapted, you get down to f2.0, so you get a little bit extra light actually. And it is a longer reach than a 35-100, even with the speed booster, because it's using the center of that full frame glass, I guess, maybe. I'm not completely sure on that, but I know it is because I've sat there and tested them side by side. So because you're putting a full frame 70-200 onto a Micro Four Thirds sensor, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's a great setup. Here's the thing though, the stabilization of the 70-200, I thought that would translate through the speed booster, and then I could use the GH5 with it, and it would combine, like do the dual stab. What happens though is you can either do one or the other, is what it tells you have to pick. You want sensor stabilization with the GH5 or GH6 probably, or do you want lens stabilization with a adapted lens? And so the Canon lens, we actually run on a GH4 that has no stab on it, and it's great. We run it on a monopod, and the guys do really well when we do it that way. So the GH5 with the so many numbers. Why don't camera manufacturers just like name their things names? Like, I don't know. I guess red does that, but the GH5 with 35 to 100, that dual stave is so good. Like that's probably my favorite setup that I've ever used. So hopefully that helps you out. Hey, let's look at some more worship tech that has come out. Let's see if I can do this over here. If you guys are ever interested in what John just said from H2R, you ever have your pastor want to annotate live on ProPresenter? Like, is it John? Who's the old dude? I forget. Desiring God guy. He's been doing a lot of annotating on his stuff via an iPad. Well, this app right here, I forget what it's called, Live App Pro. It gives the ability to annotate not live. What it does is it grabs a screen grab. So your pastor would have to click like capture. And then as he wrote on his iPad, that actually could be connected to it could be screen mirrored to an Apple TV that you had plugged into your ATEM in the back. And then you could use your downstream keyer, since it's just white, to take out the background and lay that over on top. Now, if you wanted to use other colors, you could do that. You see here with Apple Pencil, you can do stuff. And right now it's weird because he's using Keynote to show like you could do this without this app. But the problem with that is you can't ever see like what's on the screen. Like your pastor, that would be of no help, right? This is like the workaround to do the touch screen. So there it is. It captures that may be your scriptures. And then he could circle things. He could underline things. It's a pretty interesting like solution. I don't know if it's trustworthy in that kind of setting, like dependability wise, to do Wi-Fi connecting to the iPad from the ATEM to a Apple TV now. Like there's just a lot to go wrong there, but maybe you're set up where your pulpit never moves and you could have these all hardwired, just with an HDMI out of the iPad and combining Ethernet into that as well. Have it like all the time set up. So that's an interesting piece of technology, I thought. You guys ever done anything like that where your pastor live does it? I know there's touch screens out there and stuff. We don't have the budget for a touch screen like that. Yeah, John Piper, thank you guys. Yeah, John, just on the spot, couldn't think of his name. But that's an interesting piece of technology. Again, that was called Live App Pro. If you want to look for it in the App Store, I think it's like $40. It does a lot of other things where you can like control your ATEM. You've probably seen like the free versions of that from Blackmagic, or like there's, I think Strata makes apps like that I've used where you can even use it as a tally light for your camera operators and stuff like that. So, hey, let's jump in and look at my service that's coming up this Sunday. I just want to talk to you guys through like my thought process. Right now, though, if you have questions about tech or anything worship related, it doesn't always have to be technology. Feel free to drop that in the chat, and then we'll come back from this little segment and we'll do some more chat. As far as I know, yes, it only works with the Blackmagic switchers, but just look at their app and they'll probably be able to tell you. So here we are in our planning center set. We got a night of worship coming up next week that I'll probably make a little video about how we are doing that. But let's go down here into our service this week and see what's happening that's unique. So as far as our service flow this week in and week out, we usually have an opener video and we roll right into a song. Old school this week, Here For You from Passion. We've done that one a lot. We didn't get to practice midweek, and so all my people were going to be out of town, so we are doing songs that we know, except for Homecoming. We've only done that one 3 times. That's from Corey Asbury. But the thing that's different this week is we were talking about, what are the awkward moments in our services? And a lot of times it was this kind of welcome time where we just, I don't know, it just kind of sometimes felt awkward, this breaking of the flow of worship that I'm trying to create an on-ramp for people as they come into the service, that I don't expect people to like come in, countdown ends, and they're just like, oh, thank you, Lord. But it kind of felt like, even though I was starting to, progress and getting people's hearts engaged in worship, and then we were like killing it and having everybody sit back down. So we're trying something new this week with this worship welcome. I'm just going to kind of lead through some time with that and pray, and then we'll do our other songs. The thing that's actually a lot different, though, this week is we are doing our first week of video announcements. And so instead of doing that welcome with all the announcements up top, we videoed some simple ones, and I purposefully tried to make this flow to where we dismiss our kids after worship. I don't know if you guys do that. Our kids are in there up through the worship time, and then they leave. And so this is how we are trying to make that work. Wow, that went black. Let me go back over here to ProPresenter, and I'll show you the video announcements. We end in B flat in Homecoming, and then it'll go right into this. It's panned right because we don't want it in our click side. So this song's actually in B flat, so we'll be able to flow right into it. And so we're dismissing kids virtually here. It lasts about a minute. One thing we liked about doing it this way is that new guests get to get a picture of like where their kids are going, because people that just come to our service don't always know, like, I'm just sending my kids down that hallway like with these random people. So this gives them a little picture for them. Do you guys do video announcements at your church? We've done it in the past, but we're trying it a little differently this time. I'm kind of excited about it. I haven't had the bandwidth to be able to do them week in and week out. So this kid's dismissal portion that lasts about a minute. No sound from the video if we're supposed to hear it. That's weird. Why is Restream frozen? It's like Restream is only getting the right channel. It's so annoying. Restream. Hold on. Yeah, so that video is actually panned hard right. Why am I don't know. My preview on Restream is frozen. It's panned hard right because our click is on the left side, and so I pan all videos in our live service to the right. But when it was playing through Restream, you couldn't hear the video. So it's like it's only getting the left side. So yeah, that's annoying. I wonder if I can adjust that. I'm scared to change anything, guys, because of what happened earlier. I have stereo audio input on, so I don't know. You guys got any questions? Or should we move on? Yeah, so this is my fear right here, Joey. He said that they did used to do video announcements, but not anymore. We don't have time to create them anymore. So that was what I kind of talked about with my team as well, is that, we actually we did for about a month. We did these video announcements where every single announcement had to have like this funny story and a skit with it and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't have time to do that. And so what we are creating, hopefully, is that we have 2 of those video announcements that will only change probably like every 3 months or so, because they're targeted at new people. So our members might get tired of them, but for new people, it's new. And so that's okay. And then every week, we'll probably just have to film 1 or 2 extra like video announcement, 30-second, very simple things that my intern will be editing. So that's the plan. Okay. let's see. You guys got any other questions before we keep going? It's already 11:11 because I spent 15 minutes troubleshooting. Here's a good question. What do you use for your church management software? We have PCO for services and CCB for management. So we actually switched this last year all over to Planning Center for everything. When we first switched everything to Planning Center, we did everything except our financials. All of that was still through ACS, which is the database thing we used to use. And now everything actually is going through Planning Center. We had to push our people to move their giving even over to, I think it's Stripe that Planning Center uses. I'm able now we're getting rid of our app and we are just doing everything through Church Center. Luckily, one of our ladies up front just took it upon herself to learn it and just designed our little Church Center stuff. And it's great. It's really good. It's very usable. So I'm a big fan of Planning Center, and I think the rest of the staff that has been utilizing it has really found it pretty intuitive, and the UI is so much better than others. The only thing that we've come up a little short on is just like some reports and stuff that you were able to do and other stuff that they don't have available yet. So PCO publisher, Joey, I think that's the integrated part of the Church Center app. And so, yeah, I think we do use publishing to get a couple of things on there. So, I mean, you can always just download Church Center and look up Central Baptist Owasso, and you can see what ours looks like if you're interested in it. Use ACS. Here's a good question. Doug says, saw a brown paper bag with your church logo on it. What do you use those for? Those are our new to Central gift bags that we give people. It's got like a little Yeti. It's a fake Yeti mug with our logo on it and then some other stuff inside of it. So at our central hub that we call, it's our main foyer with a little table, our connections director is there and our greeters, and they give those to anybody that's new to Central. It doesn't have to be their first week, but if they haven't gotten one yet. So looking through y'all's comments here. One thing that really helped us out for our video announcements is I forced everyone to write out and send me their scripts, and then we did everything via teleprompter with this iPad sitting here on the prompter. You've seen it before. This is a DesView teleprompter. I have the Parrot teleprompter as well, the smaller one that's for phones. And it was just a little too small for my liking for getting people further back away from the camera. So this is not a full-size iPad. It's a little bit smaller than that iPad mini. That worked super well because seriously, it was 2 takes. And so we did all the filming, very quickly. So I think still got. Yeah, that was cool. Hey, I made that video about the Teradek Spark 4K. Well, guess what I bought? I bought the Teradek Spark 4K. I actually found this on eBay. It was still wrapped in the plastic wrap. I got it for $1,100. So I used that other $400 to buy a G85 off somebody locally here on Facebook Marketplace to put on our gimbal. So I got a camera extra, because they're $1,500 for the Teradek Spark 4K or the Ace 500. If you haven't watched my comparison video about the Ace 500 and the Spark 4K, that's wireless video transmission stuff. If you're interested in that, go check it out after this live stream. This is a good question right here. Did you save money switching to Planning Center? Yeah, I think that was an initial draw. Now, the thing about it is, as you keep going with Planning Center, you kind of start adding little things here and there. I think we pay, because it all hits my Visa bill and then it gets split because I originally had Planning Center only on mine. I want to say we're up to around $300 a month or so, which doesn't include like fees for giving, I guess. I don't know how the giving thing works, honestly. But it was still cheaper than all the modules through ACS and all of those different things. Yeah, Faith Life is another one you could try. Rebel Give was interesting. I actually sent all the Rebel Give info to our financial lady. Just the lack of integration that easily worked. We also have a preschool that accepts payments and all these kinds of things here at our church. So how much should we pay for a used G85, and would you recommend it over the GH4? $400 is what I paid for mine. I did buy that one off of eBay. If you saw my community tab post, that was a supposedly functioning, but just didn't have the battery and the power adapter G85. I paid $300 for it. I returned it, got refunded, and $400 seems to be a good deal. One thing that I always do when I'm looking at used gear is I'll go on eBay and search what I want, but then filter it, and you can filter by sold items. And so that gives you an idea, like what are things actually going for? What's a good deal? Most G85s body only seem to be selling around $425, $450, $475. You can buy one brand new with a lens for around $600. So you don't, maybe it's $699. Best Buy had a thing for $499, just like one day only deal a couple weeks ago. But yeah, we paid $400 for ours. Why is it better than the GH4? The sensor stabilization is really the main reason. Now, the only thing I'm not sure of, on the GH4, you can record while outputting on HDMI. I'm not sure the G85 can do that. And also, the G85, I'm pretty sure, has a 29, it has a recording limit, where the GH4 does not have a recording limit. So if those things are important to you, bear that in mind. The main difference, though, for me is the sensor stabilization on the G85, just to help with like little micro jitters and things like that. Daniel says he thinks the GH4 is better than the G85. Okay. Yeah, it just depends on your use case. The GH4 has been out a little bit longer. And it's it was the predecessor to the GH5. It's a more fully featured camera as far as like recording and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't have sensor stabilization. So there is that to bear in mind. What time is it? 8:11:18. What else do I got here? Hey, I feel like automation and tracking stuff is just becoming this huge thing that people are putting in a lot of like R&D into. And I feel like in the years to come, camera stuff with this automated tracking and movement functionality is just going to be huge. And one question I always see people asking is like, hey, how can I have a remote pan, tilt, zoom thing for my cinema camera? And the only thing that I've really ever seen out there is you have two options. I've tested the DJI RSC, but then there's this company called Middle Things that has basically implemented a system for you to control a DJI, I'm not Canadian, DJI RS2 gimbal with a Blackmagic camera wirelessly from the ATEM. But then it gets even crazier. Let's watch this video from Middle Things where they show they developed this this module, this remote control unit now that you can see. So let's look and see here. Oh, that's the wrong one. There you go. Called Middle. So you can see they've got cinema Blackmagic cams. Yeah, Middle remote. And that's not just a motorized servo zoom lens. That is any lens because they've got the focus motor with the DJI gimbal, which is the, I think, more attractive part of it. Mod, yeah, modularity. Sorry. So if you haven't checked out the Middle Things remote, or just all the different things that Middle Things can do, I know there are some guys that have tested this that early on were not impressed with the actual functionality of this use case with using Middle Things and a DJI gimbal. I feel like it's just getting better and better though, and that eventually this may become like a viable option for people that are wanting that steady, not steady, that are wanting the like a PTZ. They have to do a PTZ. Like there is no way to put a big tripod. Like they're in some cathedral. I don't know, but they really want a PTZ and good quality. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's some PTZs that are like $5,000 or $6,000 that are still pretty good by themselves, standalone. I've never used them, but that's what people say. Let's look at here. Any of your questions and comments before we move on to the next one. Okay. Ricardo says, please give me an idea on a cheaper way to connect a cell phone wirelessly to my ATEM. I saw your video, but there's not anything in our budget. Any recommendations? We use OBS and ATEM Mini Pro. Well, I mean, if you're on a, like you have no budget and you're trying to do a wireless cell phone into your ATEM or just into OBS even, you're really looking at NDI. And so you could, I feel like maybe NewTek has like an NDI app that you can do from your cell phone. I know there's options out there. If you search around for like an NDI app, like you can send your phone over the network basically. I don't know what the latency is. I mean, if you have a solid network, it might be okay to do. You could go direct into OBS. If you're wanting to get that NDI feed into an ATEM though, you're looking at sending an NDI feed from an Apple TV into an Apple TV, and there's an app for that. If you search NDI on the Apple TV, that's like $50 or $60, I think. Now, if you want to go just wired out of a phone, you could do, is it Filmic Pro that has the ability to have clean HDMI out of a phone into like your ATEM or whatever. No sound on the video again? Well, that's weird. I don't know what's happening, Josh. I mean, I did have the sound turned down quite a bit, but either way. Here's a question. L. Fisher, moving from relatively high-end Avial, I don't know what that is, Titan hardware lighting console to light key software through ProPresenter. Any recommendations other than eBay to sell? Oh, man. Our old hardware lighting console is, I think it finally just got sent to Goodwill or something because it was in a closet for years and it had issues. So we didn't feel right selling it without fixing it. But I don't know. I mean, maybe like the church gear trading deal on Facebook, you could try that. I just feel like everybody's moving to software stuff, and I don't know anything about that Titan hardware to tell you, what industry would be interested in buying that? Is that would clubs like it or theaters or what? So. Joey says, Brady Shearer recently released his thoughts on the importance of live streams. Did you watch it? And if so, what are your thoughts? It was challenging for me, but in a good way. So Joey, actually on my previous live stream here on the channel, we actually went step by step through Brady's video. So I don't want to rehash that. And I really was Actually, I think I might have cut that part out of the video because I was kind of just like reacting to it. But my thoughts are this, that let me think about it and I'll get back to you, Joey. I actually responded to that video. I got too many things going here. Yeah, Brady raised some good points. I think that a lot of churches, thought we have to live stream everything. And if you watch one of my earlier videos, I even caution people, like, don't think that you need to get this giant live stream system and think that you're just going to put it on Facebook and you're going to reach the masses, because that's not what Facebook and social media is used for, is long form consumption. But live streaming has its place. I think that the thing you lose from just posting a pre-recorded video is any community aspect. I think that there's a part, we ask people that have joined. Our church is growing, and we ask everybody that comes through our doors, like, how did you first get connected with Central? What was your first connection, first impression? 9 out of 10 times we've been watching online for weeks, sometimes months, just lurking, just being able to see what actually our church is like. And there's something to that. And so it's the front door of your church. It really is. Let me see here if I can find. I can't find all my responses, but I have other thoughts on that as well, Joey. But no, it's a good thing to consider. We should never just do something because every church is doing it. Like, we have to do what fits our culture, and also be a good steward. It may not be the wisest thing for a tiny church to go out and spend $10,000 on stuff whenever they don't even have lighting to light their sanctuary well, and it's going to look bad. So, let me see here if there's anything else I wanted to share with you guys. All right. I think it's time in the stream to do a little section of the stream that I like to call Get Off My Church Lawn. Get Off My Church Lawn. This segment is all about how there's so much good new music, new worship hits that have come out every week, right? If you're on YouTube, you're seeing these videos just over and over, brand new, great songs that are just bops, they're bangers. And you're thinking, like, as the worship pastor, how can I even do all these new songs? Like, they're all so good. Or maybe the fear, get off my church lawn, is that you're becoming the old man who's like, these newfangled songs, that's not even worship music. Like, what happened to what would have been a classic? What happened to open the eyes of my heart, Lord? If it ain't from the Broadman, I don't sing it. So this segment is all about looking at a new song that's come out and just looking at it with like open eyes and considering, like, is this song a song that would be useful and good for my church, like a helpful song to point people to Jesus, to give them a vehicle to worship. And so today we are looking at a song called Honey in the Rock. Ran across this song probably a week ago, I think. And it's from Brooke, I don't know how to say her last name, Ligertwood and Brandon Lake. It's a little bit of a different song. And so let's take a listen to Honey in the Rock. Please let me. Okay, before I keep going. So L. Fisher says no audio. See, I think what's happening is, I think it's picked up this mic. No? Why Restream? Let me look at this. Still nothing, huh? Let me try something.
Well, Brooke and Brandon, it's so good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. This is awesome.
This is so sweet. Such an honor to be on here.
I'd love for you guys to talk about this song. It's so unique. And I love songs. First of all, just musically, man, like what's not the love that's
Okay, let me know if you can hear the video now.
There's so much in this lyric that's like really special.
If you're still there.
Talk
We
about
got
the
like
song a
9
little
people on
bit
here
and
still.
How you guys got together to work.
We're about to do stream
Maybe
reviews, so I
some
got to
good
fix
thoughts
it.
behind it.
Okay.
So
So here's the deal. Don't ever use Restream Studio in Safari. I switched over to Chrome and everything worked fine. It was something with Safari this whole time. So if you use Restream for your church, stick with Chrome. All right. Okay. Let's go back to the top and listen to Honey in the Rock from Brooke Ligertwood and Brandon Lake. Here we go.
There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, metal on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry, now that I know everything I need you got. There's honey in the rock.
It's very like different for a worship song. It kind of has a country feel to me.
Pray for a miracle.
She's come out with a ton of songs recently. 1,000 Hallelujahs or something.
Sweetness at the mercy seat I've tasted. It's not hard to see. Only you can satisfy. There's honey in the rock.
What do you think, guys? It's kind of groovy. Does it really look like trash on this on your end? I'm about to give up.
satisfied. There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, men on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you've got. There's honey in the rock.
So I will say these lyrics are really good. People like to trash modern music and be like, it's not even, there's just no scripture in it, you know? Like, I just need my good old time religion songs. But I mean, this is straight out of scripture off the first couple listens that I've had of it, which is, it's an interesting take on God being our supplier and meeting every need. And I don't know why the quality from Chrome looks like junk and garbage, but in Restream it looks normal. And then whenever I go over to YouTube, I don't know. Guys, if I'm still here, I'm giving up on the live stream today. Oh, hopefully on Sunday we don't have this many issues. So it just wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. So I think I'm just going to go do something else. And let's hope that this is not a precursor for what's going to happen on Sunday morning. No, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to Sunday. Hope you guys have a blessed weekend and that your churches do everything they can to point people to Jesus, and that we use technology to do the same thing. So y'all have a great time this weekend, and appreciate you hopping on the live stream, suffering through all these issues with me, and have a great one. All right, we'll see you.